I'm Stephanie.
Hi, I'm Angela.
We are the Ink Mages. Join us as we discuss all things fantasy, world building, storycraft, myths and legends, and of course, our own imaginative stories. Hello and welcome to the Ink Mages podcast. This is like our New Year's celebration. It is our first live that we are ever doing, and we brought some returning guests to join us in the show today. So we're super excited you've joined us, and I'm going to introduce all the authors who've joined us. So we got Mikel Melwasul, who's here, and Zombie, David Tullius, and Nathan Keys. Say hi, everybody.
Hello.
Hey!
Hi.
We're going to have so much fun talking about all of our books and all of the things that we've been doing in 2023 and what we're going to be doing in 2024. But first of all, I would really love Stephanie and I, the Ink Mages, and if you've tuned into all of our episodes, you've gotten the opportunity to meet these authors, but I would like to kind of reintroduce them to you in case you haven't seen those fabulous episodes. Maybe you'll go back and check them out. But we're going to start with you, Mikel. Go ahead and introduce yourself and what you've written.
Starting with me. Okay, cool. So I'm Mikel Melwasul. I wrote Paragon Exordium with the assistance of David Tullius here. He's my co-author and editor. Big influence on the entire story. He's been with me from the beginning. So Paragon Exordium is a modern fantasy apocalypse about our world being thrown into an apocalypse in which the fantasy races throughout the world invade, so to speak, released by magical spell. There's some mystery to that. And people in a small town in Georgia trying to survive in a world where most of humanity's been wiped out. And now there are basilisks and orcs and dwarves and elves and trying to get around and just explore the world, find out what's happening, but also reestablish humanity in that environment.
I love it. And are you going to be doing a giveaway today?
Yeah, we're going to give away an ebook.
Let's go. Come on, you guys. How about you, Zombie? Go ahead and introduce yourself.
So I am Zombie. I am the author and illustrator of Wizards of the Apocalypse. I'm trying to get this with my camera. And then I have the second book out. It came out last September. There we go. And I did the illustrations for the cover, and on the inside I did
love it.
She's a fabulous illustrator, you guys.
So it is a post-apocalyptic fantasy. So it takes place in a fantasy world where zombies have destroyed everything. There's few humans left, but there's elves and dragons and wizards. And it's up to these three wizards to end the apocalypse and restore humanity. And it's not easy because they find out that a lot of the zombies are getting smart. They're learning magic. So yeah.
And you're going to be giving an ebook away for that book as well?
Yes, I will give away an ebook for the first book.
Let's go. David, go ahead and introduce yourself.
I'm David Tullius. Remarks complete. What Mick said? No. I co-authored my own copy of Paragon Exordium, which I definitely love. Like Mick said, we've been working on it quite a long time, getting through the whole process, and got it published in the last year. So just sort of trying to work through all the ins and outs of that. You thought writing the story was the hard part, but then it's everything that happens after the story that makes it more challenging. So yeah, we're giving away an ebook, and we'd love to talk about the rest of it. So
let's go. Yeah, marketing is a surprise. When you decide to author a book, surprise, you get to become a marketing genius. That's all overnight. That's right. Nathan, go ahead and introduce yourself.
All right, I'm Nathan Keys. I write epic fantasy. This is my first book here, The Epic of Marindel Chosen.
Let's go.
The Epic of Marindel is the series name. And then I also have the second book that came out this past November, The Epic of Marindel Redemption. It's making waves out there in the fantasy community right now. I'm really excited about that. And then I also have a kind of companion guide called The Great Story of Marindel. And this one's more like a study guide / personal devotional based on the story of Marindel, where if you want to go more in depth into the Christian themes and symbolism behind the epic fantasy series, it kind of puts guided questions between the chapters to where you're encouraged to go more in depth into what all of that means from a biblical standpoint. And so, that's my thing: epic fantasy and epic world building. Apparently,
I think we're all in that
yeah.
that vein. Okay, so let's do some fun nerdy questions here. Starting with you, Michael, again, putting you on the spot. What is the nerdiest thing that you did in 2023?
Okay, so I've got two. You want there's a sweet one and there's a goofy one. Which one do you want first?
Both of them.
Yeah, both.
I'm ready.
Okay, so the sweet one is I named my daughter after the wife of Merlin and the Pevensies. So her name is Gwendolyn Pevensey.
That's the name of one of the characters in my book, Gwendolyn.
Oh, fantastic.
Oh,
That's amazing.
And as far as the nerdiest thing I did last year, besides releasing an incredibly nerdy book, that would probably be doing a Gollum Smeagol duet on TikTok with another indie author.
Oh my gosh.
Where we each played.
Fun.
I played Smeagol, he played Gollum, and we did a back and forth on it with our impressions.
Oh my gosh! Now
Oh
I'm going to
my
go check
gosh.
that out.
I gotta
Very-
search for it now because I've watched a lot of TikTok videos, but I've not seen that one.
That is nerdy and super fun. I like that one. That's great. Next
All right,
zombie.
what
How
about
about
you,
you?
next zombie?
So nerdy. Let's see. I went to a Minecraft museum over Christmas, and it was super fun. And I know like Minecraft kind of has nothing to do with my book, but it also does because my book started out as Minecraft fan fiction.
Oh my god.
Oh,
It did.
great.
Yes, it did.
That's
Wow.
fantastic.
I love that.
Minecraft. And I went with a friend and we were just posing with all of the Minecraft creatures. And so that was pretty nerdy because I'm 23, almost 24, and I'm still obsessed with the game. So
Nothing wrong with that.
No, nothing wrong with that at all. Hey, whatever inspires you. My son loves Minecraft. He plays it all the time.
that's awesome.
My kids still play it, and I get dizzy watching them play it.
That's fair. No, I have one of my other friends, she can't play it because she gets dizzy too. So
Nerdy fact, David.
The world that we were recently playing, we being Mick and some of our mutual friends, was recently griefed very hard.
You
So
play
it's a
Minecraft
touchy subject right now for the Minecraft. I think there's a restore point, but at this point, I don't know if my heart's in building my massive castle anymore because, when you relog in and your basement's gone,
Mhm.
Oh.
really puts a damper in your
Yes.
build a whole castle sales, right?
Oh.
But it's always fun to hear Minecraft inspired your fantasy book. That's great. That actually adds a twist that oh wow, okay.
Thank you.
Great. So, oh man, besides publishing a fantasy novel, nerdiest thing I did this year. So not only are we fantasy people, I'm a kind of a history nerd also. And so the nerdiest thing I did this year was I got I'm a of the tattoo persuasion, I got a tattoo that included a history quote from an ancient Roman person on it. So it's I didn't get it in Latin because I don't want to put characters and words I don't understand. But the basic quote, right? It's in war, laws are silent. Right?
Oh,
I love that.
Oh,
Cicero.
that's-
So I figured.
well,
Cicero
I was gonna say.
Yeah. So pretty nerdy, and take that how it goes. But that was fun. We'll probably keep going with that. But I'm not
That's
the
so
person that has
cool.
like random Latin and things everywhere and doesn't know what he's talking about. I kept that in. Just so we're clear, it doesn't say
You're one of the people
tree,
that
sped down the road or something strange.
It's one of the people that inspired the how often does your boyfriend think of the Roman Empire kind of people.
Oh yes. Oh my gosh.
Meme exists because of people like Dave.
because
Every
She
time
my
I look
wife
in the
didn't even
mirror.
bother asking me that question. She just looked at me.
So Nathan, how about you?
All right. Well, Nathan, you tell us. Yeah, what's a nerdy fact?
Yeah, so I'm sure most people already know this already, but this year, Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom came out, and Legend of Zelda is it's one of my favorite video game franchises of all time. So even though I'm not so much a gamer right now, like compared to how I used to be, I still follow the Legend of Zelda, and I will play almost every game that comes out. And Tears of the Kingdom was no exception. So I pre-ordered that game, and then I took like a month off my whole life to play the whole game.
That's fair.
I had so much fun.
Dedication.
It was so fun.
So cool.
Did
Yeah.
beat it in that month. You did.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I cleared as much of the like extra content as I cared to. Like I'm not like a huge fan of gathering Koroks, if you know what that is. But
Well, when there's
I
1,000 of them.
Who
forget
is-
about that. But I got like all the shrines and all the other extra things, the whole underground section. I explored the whole thing, and yeah, I was like, "Yep, good game, loved it." Back to real life.
See, it came out 2 weeks before
I
my
went
kid was born.
hard on Breath of the Wild, but like Tears of the Kingdom, when I realized there's a whole sky area and underground, and then the actual terrain of the world, is like that's too much. That's just I don't have time.
It is way more than Breath of the Wild for sure.
so much more.
Yeah.
Stephanie, how about you? Was Legends of Zelda your nerdy fact, or what was your
Well,
nerdiest thing that you've done this year?
Him mentioning like a video game that jogged another one. So I do have two, and I'll start with a video game. I beat God of War Ragnarok, and I did everything possible. Like I cleared every map 100%, like on every realm. I did all 9 realms. But then there's 2 bosses I can't beat, and it's the Berserker King and the Queen of the Valkyries. For the life of me, I tried so hard. I just had to I can't do it. I'll revisit it, but I beat everything else. So super nerdy back there.
Platinum.
And then what?
You got to get that platinum. Go back in. You get the nice little trophy at the end if you get them.
Yeah, I tried to max out my armor and all sorts of stuff, be super prepared, but I think I can't mash fast enough. See, then other nerdy thing I did last year was I completed watching Attack on Titan and reading the manga. So
Nice.
my favorite anime, and possibly one of my favorite stories of all time, like brought tears to my eyes. I was like, it is done. I've finished this. I don't know what to do except for restart the whole show now and make my kids watch it.
Captive audience.
Which is what we're doing.
I
All
think
right,
for me, probably the nerdiest thing I did. I got really bored. I didn't have any TV shows to watch, and I decided to start watching Supernatural. And I'm making no apologies. I kind of loved it. I kind of thought it was awesome, and I watched every single season.
Oh no!
In a matter of just a couple months.
You see, you got to stop at the end of season 5 because that's where it was originally supposed to stop.
That's when it was supposed to stop, and it went
That's
on.
when the
for
original
eternity.
story ended, and then they're like, "Oh, we're going to go on for what 8 more seasons?"
Yes, yeah. I mean, I don't know. The characterization in that show just was so much fun for me. So I got hooked. I watched way too much of it than I should have. Definitely my nerd fact. And my husband let me. So I mean, I guess that's kind of nice. You know, it worked out pretty good. You guys, we have some questions coming in, and you guys can just jump in there. But we've got a question from Jaden Gardner. It says, authors, without spoilers, what's your favorite line or quote from your book? I don't even know if I can think of a line from my own book right now. Actually, I think anybody else jumps in there first.
You have a coffee mug,
I guess
Angela.
I'll just.
I know. That's what I was just thinking.
Everybody, open your books.
I'm gonna have to look. If I can remember.
I guess I'll go while you guys are searching. I will say that the nauseous mantra from The Conjurer's Curse and The Race of Arjun, probably my most, to me, means the most, and my favorite line, and it is still water, steady heart. See the beast as an equal and be fearless in your strike. So it's
That's
something that Rowan's guardian mother tells him right before he goes and defeats I shouldn't say that because that's spoiler. Has to go take on a twin-tailed panther. So it's like, it's her way of trying to calm his emotions and be prepared. So yeah, favorite line there.
My favorite quote is actually Nathan Key's fault, because he was one of my ARC readers and he pointed out this quote. And honestly, it did become my favorite quote. I was like, you know what, I really like that line. And it actually meant a lot to me when I wrote the line. And it's from book 3. Book 3, a little plug for book 3, is coming out this spring. I'm very excited. Publishing has already commenced. Book cover is being designed as we speak. And the quote is, "No one is born to dark days without the ability to become the slayers of the demons that haunt them." So thank you, Nathan, for that quote, because yes.
You're welcome.
That's amazing.
I like that quote. Anybody else jump in there?
So this is from my second book, The Hidden Wizard. And so my characters, they are with the wizard right now. And she says, "Every wizard has potential. Everyone has their own pace, and magic manifests in various ways in unique time at unique times. Don't compare yourself."
Let's go.
And what I like about that is I am someone who does compare myself a lot. I was not popular in school. I was definitely the shy kid, and I would compare myself a lot. I'd see, oh, why do they have more friends than me? Or why are they doing so much better in school? And it's hard, especially when you're that young. And now that I'm older, I'm like, you shouldn't compare yourself. Everyone's on their own journey. It's not going to look the same. It's just going to be different. So don't compare yourself.
Well done, X-Zombie. That's good. I like that. All right, who else?
I've got one for Paragon Exordium, one of my favorite lines, and then I've got a line I wrote the other day for book 2.
Ooh.
I really like. So for book 1 of my favorite lines I've written is, "As it turned out, bored people really like to hear themselves talk, regardless of how boring their lives happen to be."
Oh, that's nice.
Quite proud of that. And then off the dome, the other one that stuck with me the other day is I wrote, there's an orc character, and he says, "I have killed more foes than I have eaten meals."
Oh, wow.
Oh,
nice.
Oh, that's a lot of foes.
Yes.
He may have been using hyperbole. We'll never know.
Mystery.
Ooh.
I've got one.
Yeah, go ahead, Nathan.
Yeah, mine's a bit similar to Stephanie's, where it kind of became like a mantra of one of the characters after a while. And this is from book 2, Redemption, Epic of Marindel. And it's one of the characters meets this girl who has a very close relationship with the Great King of Marindel, as Torrento does as well. But she kind of teaches him how to play this magical instrument and like how to like key into the magic of Marindel that kind of allows him to impact his surroundings using that magical instrument that he gets. And something that she teaches him is the phrase, "You and me, here and now, together as one." And they kind of play that like as a song, as just like something very simple, but then throughout the story, as like this character, the main character, he goes through different battles and hard times and things like that. Like this just keeps coming back to him, "You and me, here and now, together as one." And it like centers him, and he's like, "All right, let's go, let's do this." And so I say that to myself now, even like it's become part of me. So I had to choose that as my favorite line.
I love it.
Very nice.
Okay.
All right.
One of my favorite character interactions that we have is between Peter, one of our point of view characters, and a character named Rory. So Peter's like a private mercenary, former military, left the army, decided to go private, and they're ended up in this situation where they're trying to keep this town together during the apocalypse. And Rory is still a soldier, and Peter basically finds out that Rory talks a big game and is also like a much more junior officer than he was, and in a unique area to be able to call out this other character on sort of being a hypocrite is he just kind of pokes at him every time they have a conversation. He just pokes at him a little bit more about, having seen more, done more things and everything else. So I think one of the one of the ones between them is once he finds out, this guy's a lieutenant, basically. He's like, all right, certainly, Lieutenant. I, a terrible mercenary, would not give up on our town. Unless, of course, with your vast military experience, you would be willing to take up that responsibility.
Whoa.
In public, in front of like the town council and everybody else. So this dude just roasts him every time that they interact about his like army. It's a back and forthy thing. And anybody who's spent any time around like service people or anybody in this kind of world is like, oh yeah, that tracks. Like, just roast the lieutenant, and telling war stories. You can be careful who you tell war stories around, because there's always a more, it's a small group and it gets smaller at the top, and there's always somebody that can one up you in a story. And if you run your mouth, somebody will be able to call you out, and this time not so tactfully in front of your boss and your boss and all those people. So
that's one of those moments you read in a book and you go, oh,
he's like,
and that leads him. Yeah, and if I may, that leads itself to the power and the influence Dave's had on the story, because Dave's in the military, and so he has that perspective he's brought to the story and these characters that makes it deeper for anyone with military experience while reading it. Be like, hey, we've been real careful to make sure military people aren't going to cringe when reading from the perspective of military people. And so there's jokes and layers to the story for people with that experience because of Dave's influence.
Wow, that's awesome. Let's go. There's a plug right there for your book. So Jaden also wants to know, how long did you work on each of your books? You guys can pipe in there. How long did it take you?
Oh boy. So I started writing the first book in the Wizards of the Apocalypse series when I was 17. So I was a junior in high school, and of course had to balance writing and homework, the fun stuff. And I finished the first draft, I think in 2018, but then I didn't get it like professionally edited until 2022, because I was like fixing things were changing, I was getting new ideas. So that's how long for the first book. And then the second one only took a year to get out, now that I know the process. And
nice. Well, I can go next. I started writing in 2014, the Epic of Marindel Chosen. And in total, I'll try to be brief here, it took me 5 years total to publish this. It was published in 2019, summer of 2019. And then I started writing Redemption right away, because I was like, yes, let's go. But stuff happened, and I came out with this book at the same time frame, and this one took about a year to put together and publish. And then I finally came out with Redemption this past November, as I said before. So this was about 4.5 years that this one took to finally come out. I'm going to try to shorten that gap a little bit with the next few. So we'll see what happens.
Oh, your book's so involved. I can see why it takes a long time.
Yeah.
For me, what
Mick,
takes...
how about you?
Oh, sorry. Oh. I was just going to say, another part that takes a long time is doing all the art.
Yes.
Oh, God.
You're the illustrator too, for sure.
That takes a lot of time. Because I'm kind of a perfectionist, so I wanted the art to be really good and to pop out. And I recently started doing grayscale, like coloring it in with gray. And that takes even longer than just doing the sketch. So I spend
the grayscale looks so good.
It does. It really, really, it's worth the time you're spending on it. It looks so good. And a little plug for Ex-Zombie is that you can commission her to do art of your characters. And I've had her do Merlin, and that was super, super fun. I plan on having her do a few more too. It'd be fun.
Yes. She's drawn Rowan a couple times for me, and Aaron for Heartsmith. So I love all of her drawings.
Very cool.
Thank you.
Dave and Michael, how long did it take you guys to get that book written? Your first book.
All 231,000 words.
Yeah.
Yeah, epic. stuff. So I came up with the idea in like high school, which 2000. We didn't start writing in earnest until 2017, and then we started querying. So we published last year. So I would say the actual writing and drafting and editing about 5 years, I think. Yeah,
that sounds right.
From point A to point B, because we queried for a year before we decided to go indie publishing, and then we published last year. So
nice.
About 5.
Yeah. It's such
I've had a
a
concept
journey,
since like 2009, 2010.
Wow. Let's go. It is such a journey. It's amazing what it takes to get a book out there and have it written and prepared to be published. And then there's all of that time that goes into getting it to become something that can be live for people to buy.
Right.
I think my first book, I kind of went a little like crazy when I started writing my books. So I don't know if I'm a good measuring stick, but it took me 8 months to write my first book. And then 6 months, my second book. And my third book, which I am finally done with the rewrites of, it took me probably another 8 months. So, but I kind of go crazy. I can't let it go when I start writing. So I find that I'm kind of not normal. Although Stephanie, she also writes books even faster than I do.
Good grief.
Nice. That's impressive.
Well, the Conjurer's Curse took 4 months to write, so that comes in at like 100,000 words. Yeah, it was just flowing. Characters don't shut up, so you gotta write what they're saying.
Feel that.
And then
Wow.
the sequel, The Race of Argent, I think took about 8 months, and it's over 100,000, maybe like 117,000 words. And then I've been working on the third one for over a year now. And it's not quite done, but I'm just at 97K. Life is like catching up with me. I don't have just the time to just tune out the world and write from like 8 a.m. to 5 with no distractions. It's like, now I got to market. Now I'm doing all these other things. And I'm married now and I'm a stepmom. So I'm like, I'm not just sitting at home by myself anymore, just able to just write like crazy. So,
Well, and she left out the fact that she's also written another book that's in the publishing process. So there's another one that was just happened.
Yes, totally. 2 books after. Gosh, I know. New series going. So goodness. Now they compete. When you have 2 series going, they compete. And I'm trying to finish my third book, but my Heartsmith characters are talking to me now, and I have to just say, no, guys. Just wait your turn.
Yep, I feel that because I know I have the 4th book in the Wizards of the Apocalypse series to write, but I have the characters from my prequel. So that's how the apocalypse begins. And all the characters from that won't shut up. And another thing about like me as an artist is if I picture a character and I fall in love with designing the outfits, that's all I want to draw.
You got priorities,
So,
well, and you kind of do have to chase inspiration a little bit.
Yeah. And you're doing commissions too. So I feel it's like the more we write, the more then we get our hands in other things.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to balance. We have to balance that writer life with being a marketer. And if you have another artistic passion too, got to balance that.
Yep. It's balance. It's a balancing game.
And speaking of writing and the fact that all of us are still authors and we're writing, what are the goals for 2024 for writing? What are some of the things that you guys have in the works?
Hey, there's the question.
Hey.
Yeah.
Like I know someone asked it, so I'm going to just put it up there.
Someone, Jaden.
He's a friend of ours.
Oh, let's go, Jaden.
There's a
Jaden.
character in Paragon Exordium based on and named after him.
Oh, that's awesome.
So yeah,
Nice.
He's a good guy. He's a good guy. Our writing goal, we've got several. I've got a lot of goals for the year. We're doing auditions right now for our audiobook on ACX, so that's fun. We'll send
awesome.
different auditions for that. We just finished the first draft of Paragon Attrition. So the big goal there the big goal is get the second draft done so we're ready for beta readers, because we want to go through and rerun through it, which is a lot. Once you got the first draft, in our experience, things go a lot faster. But have that ready, have that second draft of Paragon Attrition ready for beta readers before the end of the year, at least, and try and get the second one out a lot faster than the first one.
Yeah, trying to like increase that that loop, get a little quicker. I feel like the first one was sort of building it, building the train while it was rolling. This time, at least having the base of everything and all the pieces already on the board in place kind of made that a lot better. But yeah, just being able to close out, hey, we have a draft at the end of the year felt really huge. So for this year, yeah, trying to get this out in front of people this year would be huge, for sure. And I'm trying to work a little side hustle, side project, my own offshoot Paragon book. Not a follow along meditation, which is a fantastic concept, which I'd love to pick your brain about there. But just kind of take some of those side characters, some of the ones I mentioned earlier from my favorite quotes, and then follow what happens to all of them, sort of parallel to what's going on in the main thing. We can get that all out, sort of drafted at once to be seen. That'd be
all right, right here, right now. Draft 1, end of the year, Dave.
Yeah, did it.
Let's go.
Do it.
I gotta get.
Goal's been set.
I feel like I need the visor and the big typewriter.
Yeah.
Get to feel the other side of this process.
Oh no, I am terrified of what I've done to you. What you're going to do to me is
That's going to be great.
Uh-oh.
You're going on an adventure. It's going to be amazing.
On an adventure. Yeah.
I don't know about you, but when you write a book and you decide to just say yes and you commit to that book, but for me, I can't write a book without coming out on the other side changed. There's something that happens when you write a book. And so it's always worth the saying yes, even if it's kind of scary, because it is scary to write a book. I don't know how many times I feel like I've had to jump off a cliff while writing a book. I mean, metaphorically, obviously.
Yes.
Oh,
To
yeah.
test
I
something.
could skydive. I could,
Pull the chute, tie it on the phone.
Yeah. I could do it. I don't know. I wouldn't do that. But I think it's worth it. So that's exciting. Who else?
So a few of my goals. My main one is to get the third book in the Wizards of the Apocalypse series out, called The Dragon's Crusade. And I just finished my part of the artwork. And I'm going to contact my formatter or my cover designer she does the backgrounds around my characters. And I just love her style and how our styles mesh to just complement each other. Another one of my goals is to finish the first draft of my prequel. And then another one, which is more of a creative side one, is I want to learn to animate. And my art program just introduced animation features. So I'm going to start animating. And I think that'll be really fun for marketing. I want to animate trailers and all of that stuff.
Oh, I love that.
That'd be
That's so
fabulous.
cool.
So you'd be able to animate your own hand-drawn characters?
Yes. So I actually, I'll get to animate them. And I would love to get to a point where I can animate full scenes from the book.
Wow.
Full scenes.
So awesome.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
Get that Kickstarter started
now
for
we're-
the animated series.
Yeah, we're all looking forward to that now.
Yeah.
All right, Nathan, any resolutions for writing for this year?
Of course. So I'm kind of what X-Zombie was mentioning earlier about those characters who are in the background just talking to you about the other book that you should be writing and not the next book in this freaking series.
Right?
Yeah, so that's a thing that's been happening the past few months. I am actually writing book 4 of the Epic of Marindel currently, not book 3.
What?
Because the way that the series is structured, it's in arc trilogies. So it's going to be a very long series. But the first 3 focus on one conflict, and then the next 3 after that, 4, 5, 6, they'll focus on another conflict using some of the same characters. But the book 4 characters, the backstory that sets up that whole thing, they They have been near and dear to my heart for like several months, and I could not tell them to shut up. It just wasn't going to happen. So I am currently speed writing the whole book 4 draft as much as I can. My deadline is in February, end of February. I'm going to try to have the whole thing done. First draft. Just, it might be messy. It might be, definitely not ready for the eyes of other people, but the story would be out there. And then after that, I want to come back to book 3. Once their story's done, they can be quiet for a little bit. I'll come back to book 3. Write book 3. Hopefully publish that one by the end of this year. I want to shoot for the end of the year to publish Marindale book 3. And then I'll return to Marindale book 4 next year at the self-edits phase and just work from there, hopefully to get a book out a year, roughly. That's my goal. Not the 5 years that I've been doing. That's unacceptable. I want to do better. So hold me to it.
Awesome. Yes, we'll check in.
Yeah.
Some resolutions for me for writing real quick would just be finish book 3 in the Iron Kingdom series. I'm almost there. Probably just 10,000 words is all it's going to take. And then really get into the Heartsmith sequel for that and draft the whole thing this year.
I love that.
Nice.
Yeah, and Nathan, I'm holding you to it because I've read his series and now I'm on a cliffhanger. So you have to write your next book because I can't wait forever to find out what happens next.
Well, it's coming. It's coming.
My goals for 2023, I'm obviously publishing book 3. It's going through the publishing process. So hopefully it will be in people's hands this spring. So I'm really, really excited about that because my whole trilogy will be complete, which will make me feel like I did it. I did it. The whole thing came to me as one story. So it just hasn't really felt like I've finished it. Each book I published, it's not till now that I feel like the whole thing is done. And so I'm really excited to have that out in the world. I feel like it's my best of the 3 books too. I'm really excited for people to read it. And I also have characters speaking to me, and it's really hard to focus on all of my rewrites because I have a new book that I'm writing called The Lost Son of Arcades, and I'm really excited about it. It's a prequel that follows one of the heroes of Pridean, so it's in the same world, but prequel to what happens in the Once and Future Chronicles. And it kind of follows the son of Morgan, who is my villain, and his arc and what happens to him. And Merlin makes an appearance in my book again because Merlin is awesome. And so I'm really excited to get that book written, and I'm hoping to have it written by the end of the year, probably before the end of the year, and hopefully maybe even in the publishing process. So we'll see. My goal is to have a book written a year. As long as the stories keep coming, I want to keep writing them. So, and I've got other books that I want to write, other stories that I don't want them to get stale. So I want to get to them and write them. So that's kind of my goal for now. I'm very excited about writing this next book. So here we go, 2024.
Yep, excited to read it. It's awesome when you can do a book a year. Feels good.
It does. Well, you get to kind of explore all of that stuff that's going on in your imagination and make it real. And there's something about that that's so powerful when you have taken what's in your head and put it on a page and it exists now. It's just not just floating around in your head. It's now a real thing that's tangible that people can read. And they actually, it might be kind of scary, people entering into your head and into your imagination, but it's still something that's real. And I love that about it. Did we want to look and see if there's any other questions real quick before we go ahead?
Yeah, we got quite a we got a few.
Yeah, we have a few.
Let's see here. Let's just do rapid fire question answering. Here, let's see. Anybody who wants to answer this? It's from Anne. Do you often discover that you find inspirations from some of the simplest things you wouldn't think would have anything to do with your stories?
I got a quick answer for that one. So some years back, I was in some hotel somewhere. I don't even remember where it was, but they had this really beautiful indoor plant in the lobby. And I one look at those leaves and I was like, those look like dragon wings. I am making a leafy dragon now. Leafy dragons are in Redemption,
Yes.
my second book.
Oh, I love that. Leafy dragons. That's exciting.
they set themselves on fire.
That's awesome.
They don't
Is it
die.
like a
They're
Phoenix
fireproof, but they're
situation?
like, what's that?
Like a Phoenix kind of thing.
Yes. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. They're really fun.
All right.
I think for
Here.
me, music, a song. I could just listen to a song and I get inspired, or I see a scene between characters because of certain lyrics. So that's why I always got music going.
Same here. Like I came up with the name for book 5 just by listening to a song by Icon for Hire.
Nice.
Love it.
Nice. Yeah, music's a thing with us. We have a challenge for ourselves that we do where every time we finish a chapter, we pick a piece of music we feel like embodies that chapter. And Dave and I suggest them back and forth. And sometimes we'll be like, okay, we'll come back to this one. Or we'll find a piece of music we're like, this would be good for a chapter later we're thinking about. So like we actually have like in Paragon Exordium, there's like a link to a Spotify playlist of like the official songs for each chapter that we've picked out and just collaborated with and put together. So music's a big thing for that.
Love that.
It's funny. It's fun when we use music as an inspiration, then we both come back with 2 vastly different pieces of music for the same writing.
Wow.
Those are always
That
fun.
could be
And that's how you thought about this chapter, like, and then we get to at least be like, oh, I read this a lot more sad than I thought we did, or vice versa, right?
Right.
So that's always fun, and it's fun because we try to keep it like indie, not popular pieces of music to the best of our ability, and then there's some that's okay, that's perfect no matter what, right? Like, how do we have a book that has characters that go to Macon, Georgia, and not have the Allman Brothers? Like you don't have a choice. So, sometimes it happens, but
I love that. I definitely get inspired by just conversations that I'm listening to. I'm kind of a people watcher, not in a creepy way, but I'm a people watcher, and I listen to conversations, and that gets into my books a lot. Just the way I see people interacting with each other and how people respond definitely inspires my imagination a little bit, especially when you're writing characters that you're unfamiliar with or are kind of outside of what you know. Let's see if anybody can answer this question. This question comes from somebody I totally don't even know. Just totally, it's my husband. He wants to know.
that picture look familiar.
Yeah. He says, "Who do you think is the most influential writer of our generation?" Let's see if you can answer. Yeah, geez, that's not a loaded question at all.
I would argue that it's too soon to tell.
Yes,
Ooh,
of our generation.
That's a good.
Oh yeah, of
gonna be
ours.
me.
Yeah, definitely.
So just because you want to feel young, is that?
No, it's because it's going to be me.
Oh,
nice.
well played, sir. Well played.
Goals.
Oh, that's awesome.
Man, yeah, our generation.
I don't know if I'm thinking. I'm always thinking of authors from other generations.
I
I don't know if I can think of any.
I guess I mean, if it depends on like our genre, I feel like for me, it's been Brandon Sanderson.
Is he our generation?
I'm like, does that count? I'm like, I don't know.
How old are we?
I'm like,
How old is Brandon Sanderson?
he could be
On
in
the
his
tail
40s.
end of millennial.
Is he 50? I don't know.
I'm going to go ahead and say
that would be that. I would
all of
agree
these
with that.
authors here are going to be the most influential
go.
writers of this generation by the end of 2024.
Let's go.
If you'd have asked me when I was a kid, as a kid who was going to be, I would have told you Christopher Paolini.
Valid.
Because
Oh,
as a kid
yeah.
reading Aragon for the first time, I was like, man, this kid is not that much older than me. And he, I was like young when that came out.
Yeah.
He was, what, 17, 16? That was the whole selling point. And yeah, I guess I haven't read much after his Inheritance. Maybe I'm wrong, but like, maybe we'll see there. I feel like there's a lot of potential still. But
we talk about influential writer. Are we talking like who's influenced the most writing and other writers? Because I think that's a really strong point with Christopher Paolini. Because I know you and me have both been influenced in our writing with Christopher Paolini, and a lot of the other authors I've interacted with, at least in my genre, our genre, he's definitely a massive influence on all of them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think he would fit into because he was in high school when he started writing Aragon, so he'd probably in our generation, I would think.
Yeah.
So I think that's a good submission.
Yeah, I like that one. Now, if they could just make a good movie.
Oh no, the movie.
See, the problem with making a good one is Aragon himself is insufferable. So worst part of the series is the main character, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I always say, to go with an animated series. Possibly.
Yes.
Always the solution.
something
with
like that.
fantasy. Absolutely.
Yeah. That would have been a much
Forget like the
better-
live action movie with a story like that. Just go animated and get so much more
animated.
fun with it.
That story lent itself much more to like serialized media than to
Yeah.
a major motion picture for sure. And maybe we'll see. Yeah.
All right, guys, let's move on to this question here. What is a struggle you recently had in your writing publishing career, and how did you overcome it?
Ooh, that's a tough one.
Marketing, and I haven't.
Yep, marketing. Same.
Oh man.
Marketing is just it's almost like a code you have to crack, because you see authors, they're on TikTok and they blow up overnight, and then you're kind of like, how did they do that? How did they do that? And at the same time, it's like you have your own journey. You don't want to copy every single thing everyone else is doing.
Right.
But it makes you wonder, is that the key, or do you have to find your own way, or, So yeah, marketing is definitely one of the harder things.
Yeah,
Yes.
I have a funny story. I have a fellow author, Dietrich Strong, who he posted a video asking basically, is epic world fantasy a thing? Which is basically what our book is, and it blew up. And I was like, come on! The video went totally viral, and I was like, that's my book. It's described my book, but it's not me writing. Like, should I write? I wrote it already.
Throw us a line here, buddy.
I think that's a funny meme where like the one time you actually make a TikTok video that has nothing to do with your book,
Every
and
time.
that's
And it
the one
blows
that
up.
blows up and goes viral, and you're like,
Time.
I
Or
know,
the
like
least
some of,
effort you put into it.
Mhm.
Those
Yeah.
are the popular ones. The ones you
Yeah,
pour
just-
hours into. Fun
Yeah,
to use.
Short answer to this question for me is I am not social media at all, and Mick has dragged me kicking and screaming into book stuff. His biggest struggle is I did not want to interact with that space. I fully admit that, right? And having seen the positive aspects of like the exchange back and forth, it's not like if you treat it like a social media platform to interact with people that are into the same stuff as you, then it works great, right? If you
Yeah.
treat it as just a place to dump musings and you don't expect interactions, that's what you're going to get out of it. So my struggle has been turning it into something that is worthwhile to do, and not just mindlessly scrolling through stuff that doesn't have any relevance to what you're trying to do.
Yeah,
That's mine.
Well
I
said.
always say that social media doesn't have to eat you. And
That's
one
good.
of the ways, I haven't mastered it either. I mean, I think that's a big obstacle that I'm still trying to figure that out. But I always ask myself, why am I doing it in the first place? And it's because I'm passionate about my stories. And I think that people can read the difference between a salesman and someone who's passionate about what they are giving to the world. And so I always tell myself, even if, whether it's going viral or not, what am I displaying on social media? I don't want it to eat me. I don't want it to control my life, but I do want people to read my story. So I always try to make sure that that's what's on display when I am doing social media. And so if I had any advice for any authors that are watching this, and the whole marketing thing is kind of a whole monster, just stay passionate about what you're doing and don't let social media rob from you. It is important to be on social media, but there are right ways to do it where it's not going to totally eat you up. So I think one of the biggest lessons that I have learned was having the right book cover. Most of you probably haven't seen my original cover for Eleanor and the Song of the Bard because it's no longer in print. We had to redo that book cover. And so understanding what works for your genre is really important. So do your research, look at your specific genres and what's selling, and then have your book cover designed. And there's some really amazing places you can get a book cover done really, really well for super cheap. So drop the 100covers.com and check them out. And my covers were done by them, and they're fantastic. So just so you know. All right,
I think we're eventually going to do an episode on like covers and how to, the ins and outs of
That would be
designing
cool.
it and where to go for your genre. Which with us doing fantasy and sci-fi, we got our tips on that.
Yes.
I know with my cover, I think the main thing for me was I wanted to have my artwork on the cover. I am not a professional designer by any means, but I was like, okay, I'm gonna have my artwork on there so they know it's a personal touch.
Yes.
I can't do backgrounds, so it took me a while to find someone. The trick was finding someone whose art style would complement mine, that wouldn't clash. Please excuse the sirens outside. It wouldn't clash. The colors would look good, and it would match my style, which is more cartoony. And I finally found Enchanted Ink Publishing, and I'm so grateful that they are able to put my backgrounds in and make them match.
It blends so well. I had no idea that there was someone else who did your background.
Thank you. Like I said, I'm not a professional designer at all, so I did need help there with the spine, the back, and the front. But I was like, I'm gonna have my artwork on here one way or another.
All right, guys. So let's do some. We want everybody who is watching to hear about your books. So let's do. Let's go around and share about your books, you guys. We're going to be doing a giveaway. So for those of you who are live, be sure to start commenting if you want to be entered to win in the giveaway, an ebook from each one of these authors. Be sure to comment. Ask a question or put yes in the comments. That's me. And you're going to be entered into a drawing to win. We will be contacting you after the live is over and letting you know that you won. So first of all, let's start with you. And you, David and Michael, you guys can kind of go back and forth, but let's talk about your book.
Ooh, got him. Ha! My turn. All right.
That's what I was going to say. Is you go first.
Okay.
That's the lead at the beginning.
All right. What can we say about Paragon Exordium that Mick has not already told TikTok multiple times, and hopefully people know, right? So Paragon is, as we said at the top, right, post-apocalyptic setting with fantasy elements mixed in, set in the rural American South, where society comes crashing down. But also the magic is suddenly reintroduced into the world and causes humanity all sorts of grief, basically bringing us to the edge of our very existence. Except instead of zombies or other forms of apocalypse, it's a magical element combined, right? Vision a bunch of people, Walking Dead, trying to fend off, large monster snakes and elves and orcs and things of that nature. Follow several characters, trying to put the pieces of the world back together. One being the aforementioned, former soldier, mercenary individual. One being a student at the college locally, and then another individual, just young kids, trying to make it, right. So just the whole town just trying to get everything together. So incorporates. I think it's a fun blend of everything. A bunch of different genres that have kind of bent together, so it's hard to describe. I know that sounds a little, it's hard to capture, in a bottle sometimes, but if you like things like the Lord of the Rings, The Walking Dead, Warhammer 40K, all sort of thrown into a blender and see what comes out, then you got to come take a look at us. So
That sounds fantastic.
Good job.
And David, did you see this comment from Ann Harrison? It says, David, I loved your quote from episode 11 about building the car while it's driving. I feel like I'm doing that with my MG speculative fiction novel.
Oh, ooh. Wonderful. Yeah, that's the analogy I guess I'm going with for trying to write at least the first one, for sure. Having long-winded discussions, the two of us together, right, about, why is that person's hair purple? Well, let's find out why their rank structure for their military has purple hair as a sergeant. Like, just putting, the minute details of things that you never thought you would have had to come up with. And, without having a world to base it on, you have to put it together while it's going. And if you're, chapter 11 and it's, you have a question come up about why, what is this person going to be wearing from this, various location? You're like, well, damn. What will they be wearing? Well, let's and we find out, and then you take this massive digression about, and then we're spending 4 hours talking about something what seems completely irrelevant, but is necessary background. So yeah, I feel your pain on that one for sure. And as an aside for her, I have a pizza maker in my kitchen, and now I want pizzelles. So you've got me there. I go to the store and get. I'm real hungry, so I'm just.
Can I do a small little tangent on that? Just a little teaser of our world building. So he mentioned purple hair. So a little teaser into our world building. We try and take these fantasy creatures and these fantasy races and put our own spin on them, make them fresh. So the Elvish military in the World Paragon Exordium, they have specific braids and specific dyed colors in their braids to indicate their military rank, because orcs can't see the same color spectrum as them.
Oh, wow.
So a specific type of braid in their hair in a specific color indicates their rank within their military.
So since their enemy can't identify their leadership, then it was an easy way to do it.
Oh, that's cool. I love that. Let's go. So somebody could be winning this amazing book. And if you don't win, you should go on Amazon and buy it.
Yes.
Staying with the post-apocalyptic theme, that is also what my book is. It is a post-apocalyptic fantasy with zombies, and I wanted, like Michael said, I like taking tropes and making them fresh. And I had never seen zombies and magic in the same scenario. So I was like, why not do that? Why not put zombies in a fantasy setting? And how would people, so it's based off of like medieval Europe setting, and it's how would they react? How would zombies be able to try and climb the walls of castles and all of that stuff? And they do. So I really like the idea of making something fresh and combining things that you wouldn't normally see in fiction. So if you are looking for books that combine zombies and magic and wizards and dragons, well, I have your cup
Look
of
at that
tea.
beautiful book.
Filled with illustrations that are so fun and imaginative. Ugh, just love it.
And did you say that it's a middle grade?
It is middle grade. So yes. I will admit there are a few scenes that this is going to be up to your discretion. There are some scenes that might be a tad gorier than others. Like, it's not blood and guts or anything, but there's certainly parts that I think, it's up to your discretion, but nothing too bad. There's no swearing, there's no sexual stuff. So yeah, totally middle grade. And there are a lot of middle grade books that I've read that do get pretty serious. So like Ranger's Apprentice, Wings of Fire. So they're middle grade, but they do have some more serious scenes in them, which I respect. So, but nothing too bad. Like, won't give you nightmares or anything. It's not nightmare fuel.
No promises.
Reading it. I loved reading your book. I thought it was fun. And it was a fresh take on the whole idea of a zombie apocalypse adds some magic. It's great.
Thank you.
All right, Nathan, your book. Tell us more about your book.
All right. So the premise for the Epic of Merindel is you have a kingdom of elves, like very Tolkien-esque elves, but they have water magic, and they built their kingdom on the back of a giant sea turtle. And so this is the kingdom of Merindel, the city on the back of the sea turtle. And in the backstory of the world of where the setting of book 1 takes place, the kingdom of Merindel ruled the realm very peacefully. All the races got along. Everybody was fine and nothing bad was happening. But one day, the great king of Merindel adopted a human girl into his royal family. He taught her how to use the magic of Merindel. She grew up in the palace as a princess. But then one day, she accidentally released this evil monster that usurped Merindel and took over the whole realm. And so thousands of years later, Merindel has kind of become something of a legend where like not everyone really believes in it. Like most people have forgotten about it. But you have these characters in different kingdoms spread around the realm. They're just living their own lives. But the great king of Merindel, he is still alive and he's still, active magically, and he's telepathically reaching out to these different characters, recruiting them to join various quests to fight against the darkness and ultimately to prepare the way for the return of the kingdom of Merindel. And so that's the premise of the whole series. Chosen is kind of how it all begins, where I have 3 POV characters that you see like where their origins are, like how they get brought onto this quest and how they all start kind of, agreeing like, okay, like we're all in this together. Let's go. And Redemption, the second book, is like, all right, we're doing this now. And then the bad guys are like, no, you're not. Like, we're coming after you. And so that's when stuff starts getting really nuts, is when the bad guys are like, oh, they're coming after us. So now we're gonna start messing with them. The good guys have to strategize a lot. And that's something I really like in any creative media ever, is when both the good guys are really smart and the bad guys are really smart. And they kind of have to like
Outthink.
find a way to overcome each other. It's not just like the good guys are just all powerful and they're like, yeah, we're the good guys, plot armor. Like, yeah, let's go. So I try to make it interesting to where like you don't really know who's going to come on top. And sometimes the good guys do lose. Like, I'll just come out and say that. It's not a spoiler or anything, but they have to learn how to deal with that and how to deal with loss and setbacks that they didn't expect. And so that's a theme that I love to represent in my writing as well. But yeah, that's Marindel, and I think you should read it. And I didn't say this before. My apologies. I will be giving away an ebook of the first book. Unless you have read the first book, then you can choose another book. I have 2 more, so an ebook is coming. Comment.
Yes, comment. Yeah, and do let the authors know, like if it's author Zombie and you have the copy of her first book, but maybe you want the second book. When we announce the winners and they reach out to you, just go ahead and let them know, hey, I have your first book, but I love the ebook, maybe to your second book. Definitely let us know and comment yes, or just comment, and that will enter you into the giveaway. And Stephanie, I want to hear all about your books.
All right. Well, I've got The Conjurer's Curse, which is book 1 in the Iron Kingdom series, and it follows Rowan, who is a 17-year-old tribal warrior who is an albino, but he was born with a life-draining curse, and he has no idea that he is cursed, but over time, people start dying in his village, and after enough deaths have occurred, he gets banished and he has to leave the only place he's ever known and go on a journey and find his true homeland, see if he can break this curse, or else everyone he loves and the people around him will continue to die. So that is the premise for book 1. It follows his point of view until probably about halfway through the book, and then we meet a very colorful other individual. And then it's pretty much dual POV from there. And then that's where we pick up in the second book, The Race of Origin, where things just really heat up and get complicated. So it's more of my characters having to take on an empire that is oppressing the kingdom that they're all from, and it gets really tense. So you just, both of them are up for grabs for ebook. So if you've read the first one, you can definitely get the second one, or vice versa. So just say yes in the comments and get your chance to win one.
And my books, the Once and Future Chronicles, we've got book 1, Eleanor and the Song of the Bard. And then we've got book 2, here we go, Merlin and the Magic of Time. And these books are based in Arthurian legend, but this happens after the death of Arthur. And there is a twist of time. We have a younger Merlin that enters into the fray. He is kind of ageless, but he's young. Arthur's dead, the kingdom's crumbling, and the whole kind of premise of the beginning of the series is, what's the point? What's the point of continuing on once everything's crumbled, every good thing's died, every promise has been broken? And it starts off with Merlin kind of giving up. He's ready to die too. He's ready to not continue on and leave the world to burn. And enters my catalyst, Eleanor, with a twist of time. And everything starts to change really, really quickly. And you've got some of the classic characters that return that are still living. And you've got Guinevere who returns, and you've got, this is set without castles. There's no knights. This is set in a very historical old time Kimmery world of the 5th century. So you've got more warriors with blue woad painted on their faces and spears and arrows, and a darker, kind of more intense time. But you also have dragons and really scary demons and really some fun mythical creatures that our characters get to interact with. And so book 3 is coming soon too. I'd love for somebody to be able to win and start the journey with my characters. It's a fun read, and it was really fun to write. So that is my books, and I will be giving away a free ebook to a winner. And really quickly, authors, what is a quick way for people to get a hold of you if they want to get more information about you?
I am on Instagram, Facebook. I am on TikTok, but I post there like once a week. You can find my books on Amazon in paperback and ebook. And I did just sign up with Ingram, so hopefully they'll be in Barnes & Noble soon and physical bookstores.
Let's go.
Crossed.
I am on Instagram and Facebook. You can find me at NathanKeys23. And my books are available on Amazon, paperback, hardback, and ebook versions are available.
I'm on Instagram, X, Facebook, TikTok is where I do most of my posting because I've had the most success there. My books are available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble's website. I've got some signed copies available on Etsy. You can find the link to any of those in my Instagram or my Facebook or whatever. Etsy, that's the way we're doing it. All Mikel Melwasul, it's the only one there. So it's easy to find. Just type the weird alliteration out.
Love it. Well, you guys, we will be putting the links to get a hold of all these authors in the comments after this live is over. So be sure to go there and check them out. We'll be announcing the winners soon, so stay tuned. And thank you for joining us and asking all of these fabulous questions. I know I had a good time. I think we've all had a good time discussing our books and fantasy, sci-fi wonderfulness. And thank you for joining us tonight. We've had a wonderful time, and be sure to stay tuned to the Ink Mages for all of the things that we have coming up. And we will be interviewing more authors and doing more giveaways and more lives to come. So keep your eyes peeled, and we'll talk to you next time.